There are enemies more dangerous than swords, more powerful than armies. They do not come from outside. They live within you. Fear, anger, greed, doubt. These are the true demons that chain a person and steal their strength. Many seek victory in the world, yet lose the greatest battle inside themselves. In the Shaolin tradition, the fiercest fight is not on the battlefield, but in the silence of your own mind. A monk once said, "The hardest opponent is the one you carry with you every day." And it is true. Your next mission is not to conquer another, but to face the demon that hides behind your thoughts, whispers in your emotions, and grows in your neglect. In this teaching, you will walk through ancient principles rarely spoken outside temple walls. You will learn how stillness can reveal hidden enemies, how breath, more powerful than any weapon, cuts through confusion, how discipline becomes the sharpest blade, and how compassion, though soft, can destroy hatred at its root. These are not just lessons, they are the very strategies that monks have trained in for centuries to overcome the shadows within. Stay until the end, because the final teaching will reveal the one force the demon cannot survive, a secret many seekers overlook, yet it is the key to true freedom. I am Shi Hingyi, and I welcome you to this path of clarity and strength. This is Shaolin Soulfire. If these teachings speak to you, subscribe and walk with us. The journey begins now. A restless mind strikes blindly, but a still mind never misses its mark. Before any movement, there must be silence. This is the first lesson taught within the walls of Shaolin. When I was a young disciple, eager to prove my strength, I rushed into every exercise with force. My teacher would only smile, then strike the floor with his staff so swiftly that I could not even see it coming. He told me, "Speed without stillness is wasted. Power without awareness is dangerous. You are already defeated before you begin." It took years to understand. Stillness is not weakness. It is preparation. It is the sharpening of the blade before the fight begins. In stillness, the eyes see more, the ears hear deeper, and the mind reveals patterns the restless cannot notice. The demon within, fear, anger, greed, feeds on confusion. If your thoughts are scattered, the demon hides easily among them. Shaolin practice teaches us to pause before the strike. This pause is not empty, it is full of awareness. Each breath taken in silence is like a lantern carried into a dark cave. You begin to see where the shadows are moving, where the demon has been hiding. The modern world celebrates constant movement, constant noise, but the masters remind us, the arrow rests in the bow before it is released, and the waves return to calm before they strike again. To move without stillness is to give your strength away. So, the chosen one must first master silence, not to escape the battle, but to command it. For in that silence, the demon cannot lead. In that silence, the warrior begins to see clearly. There is a saying in the Shaolin temple, "The body follows the breath, and the mind follows the body." Breath is not merely air entering and leaving the lungs, it is life itself, the current of qi flowing through every fiber of existence. When the breath is broken, the spirit weakens. When the breath is steady, even the fiercest demon begins to lose its grip. Centuries ago, monks trained in hidden courtyards, practicing not only strikes and forms, but the art of breathing. Before dawn they would sit in silence, the world still dark, and listen to the sound of their own breath. Inhaling with depth, exhaling with intention, they discovered a secret: chaos cannot survive where the breath is whole. When fear rises, the breath becomes shallow. When anger burns, the breath grows wild. The demon enters in these moments, tightening its hold. But through discipline, one learns to take the sword back. Each deep breath is a cut through illusion. Each exhale is a release of poison. Slowly, balance is restored. This practice is not only for monks. In the storm of daily life, when thoughts scatter and the heart grows heavy, one conscious breath becomes a return to center. It is like a warrior sharpening his blade in the middle of battle. Suddenly clarity returns. Breath is the bridge between body and mind. It is invisible, yet it governs strength, patience, and awareness. Those who master it discover that they are never unarmed. For while weapons can be taken, breath cannot. It is the silent sword, always present, waiting to be used. And when wielded with discipline, each breath does not just keep you alive, it sets you free. The greatest victories are never won in a single moment of glory. They are forged quietly in the fire of daily practice. In Shaolin, it is said that demons do not fear strength. They fear consistency, for strength fades when neglected, but discipline sharpens itself every day. A monk rises before the sun, not because it is easy, but because it is the first strike of the day against sloth. He bows before training, not because ritual is required, but because intention shapes every movement. He sits in silence, not to escape the world, but to master the mind that creates it. Each of these acts may seem small, almost invisible, yet over time, they cut deeply into the roots of the inner demon. Inconsistency is fertile soil for weakness. Miss one day, then another, and soon the demon grows strong again, whispering, rest longer, speak louder, take more, give less. But when practice becomes rhythm, when action follows action like the beating of a drum, the demon has no ground to stand on. Daily practice is not about perfection, it is about devotion. The sharpening of a blade does not happen in one stroke, but through many. The same hand repeats the same motion until steel gleams like water. In this way, the chosen one shapes the self by repeating what strengthens and refusing what weakens. And though others may not see the battle, it is always there. Every early rising, every mindful step, every moment of silence, these are strikes against chaos, cuts through illusion, wounds against the demon. Slowly, the enemy within grows weaker, and the warrior grows unshakable. For in truth, mastery is nothing more than the courage to begin again every day. A cup that is already full cannot receive more water. This is why the old masters taught the art of emptying. The mind too must be emptied, or else it becomes heavy with noise, pride, and endless attachment. And in this clutter, the demon hides, feeding on the excess we refuse to release. Shaolin wisdom teaches that true strength is not in adding more, but in letting go. A warrior who carries too many weapons cannot move swiftly. A mind burdened with countless desires cannot act clearly. To walk the path of mastery, one must choose simplicity over weight, silence over noise. There is a story of a student who came to a master, boasting of all he had learned. He spoke endlessly of techniques, philosophies, and achievements. The master poured him tea, filling the cup until it overflowed. "Why do you overfill?" the student asked. The master replied, "Like this cup, you are full. Until you empty yourself, nothing new can enter." The demon thrives in minds that are already overflowing. It disguises itself as ambition, as pride, as endless thought. But when the cup is emptied, when the unnecessary is released, the demon loses its shelter, simplicity becomes a shield, clarity becomes a weapon. This emptiness is not a void, it is space. Space for wisdom to rise, for awareness to sharpen, for life to flow freely. The less you carry within, the more room there is for truth. In the practice of emptying, the chosen one learns that freedom does not come from holding on, but from releasing. And with each release, the demon's power fades until it has no place left to remain. Fire can destroy, or it can forge steel. Anger is the same. Left uncontrolled, it burns everything it touches. Relationships, health, and peace of mind. Suppressed, it festers and poisons the spirit from within. But when guided with discipline, anger becomes fuel, a force that can push a person beyond limits and into mastery. The Shaolin way does not teach the destruction of emotions, but their transformation. To deny anger is to deny part of the self. Instead, it must be recognized, respected, and directed. Just as a river can flood the land when wild, yet give life when guided, anger too must be channeled with intention. There is an ancient story of a young warrior who trembled with rage after being insulted. He wanted revenge. His master handed him a heavy stone and told him to carry it up the mountain before he spoke. When he returned, exhausted, the master asked, "Where is your anger now?" The warrior replied, "It is still here, but now it is strength in my body. The lesson was clear. Anger does not vanish, but it can be reshaped into energy that builds rather than destroys. In practice, this means using anger to train harder when the body feels weak. It means focusing deeper when the mind wishes to wander. It means serving others when pride demands selfishness. Through discipline, the fire of anger is transformed into light. The chosen one learns that mastery is not about killing emotions, but about commanding them. Anger becomes clarity, passion becomes purpose, and what was once poison becomes medicine. The demon is defeated not by suppression, but by turning its own fire into the flame that lights the path forward. The mind is a fortress, and like any fortress, its gates must be watched. Shaolin monks understood this centuries ago. They knew that the greatest enemy often enters not through force, but through invitation, through careless words, fleeting images, and habits repeated without thought. Each unguarded moment becomes a crack in the walls, and the demon slips quietly inside. There is a story of a disciple who spent hours reading tales of anger and deceit, laughing at every betrayal. His master observed quietly, then asked, "Who grows stronger with your attention, you or the shadows you consume?" The disciple did not answer immediately, but over time he realized the truth. Every word, every image, every thought feeds either the spirit or the demon. Shaolin training teaches vigilance not as fear, but as freedom. To guard the mind is not to isolate oneself, but to choose carefully what enters. A disciplined mind watches habits as a sentinel watches the gates of a temple. The mind is shaped by what it sees, hears, and repeats. If it dwells on chaos, the inner demon strengthens. If it dwells on clarity, discipline, and wisdom, the spirit rises. This vigilance extends to the senses, for they are bridges to the world outside. What one consumes, stories, conversations, media, distractions, must be chosen with the same care as a warrior choosing weapons for battle. The gates of the mind are guarded not once, but every day, in every choice, in every moment of attention. The chosen one learns that mastery begins not in action alone, but in awareness. By guarding the mind, the demon is denied entry. By guarding the senses, the spirit grows unshakable. The fortress becomes unbreakable, not through walls of steel, but through the discipline of presence and the wisdom to choose what enters. There is a subtle power in balance that the impatient rarely see. Shaolin masters teach that the path of mastery is not forged in extremes, but in harmony, yin and yang, movement and stillness, strength and softness. They are not opposites to fight, but partners to align. To walk the path is to understand that one cannot exist without the other. A young student once trained only in strength, striking endlessly at forms, believing that power alone could defeat the inner demon. His body grew strong, but his mind remained restless, and the demon whispered louder than ever. The master then guided him through slow movements, soft breathing, meditation, and reflection. At first, the student resisted, thinking softness was weakness. Yet over time, he felt a quiet strength arise, a balance that no strike alone could produce. Killing the demon is not about annihilating part of oneself. It is about restoring equilibrium. Darkness exists to define light, as tension teaches release. Anger, fear, and doubt are not enemies to eradicate, but energies to understand and place in their rightful position. When balanced, they no longer control the chosen one. They serve, guiding awareness and sharpening discernment. Shaolin training emphasizes this principle in every practice. Every stance, every movement, every breath is a negotiation between opposites. To master oneself is to embrace the full spectrum of human experience, not to reject the shadows within. The path of balance is quiet, subtle, and unglamorous, yet it carries a power greater than any explosive force. The chosen one learns to move with harmony, to act without excess, and to live with awareness. In this equilibrium, the demon loses its leverage, and the spirit rises, calm, steady, and unstoppable. There is a weapon that strikes without force, moves without sound, and conquers without destruction. It is compassion. In the quiet halls of Shaolin, Masters teach that true power is not measured by how fiercely one can fight, but by the depth of mercy one can extend. Hatred feeds the demon. Compassion starves it. A student once carried a deep grievance, anger simmering like a hidden fire. Every thought of revenge strengthened the inner demon, keeping him restless and bound. The master asked him to sit, breathe, and think of the one who had caused pain, not with judgment, but with understanding. At first it felt impossible, yet with each breath the anger softened, replaced by clarity. Forgiveness became a sword, not to cut others, but to cut the chains of the past that bound him. Compassion does not mean weakness. It does not mean surrender. It is a conscious choice to respond rather than react, to transform energy that would otherwise feed the demon into light. Shaolin teachings show that mercy can be sharper than any blade because it strikes at the root of suffering, dissolving it without bloodshed. The chosen one learns that to carry compassion is to walk unshakable. The world may provoke, chaos may rise, but the spirit that wields mercy remains calm, precise, and unassailable. In every act of forgiveness, in every moment of understanding, the inner demon loses strength. Every insult ignored, every hand extended, every heart softened becomes a strike, not against others, but against the shadows that linger within. In this way, the silent weapon works continuously. It is invisible to the eyes, yet its power is undeniable. Compassion does not just protect, it conquers, heals, and transforms. And the one who masters it becomes truly free. There is a place where the demon cannot follow, a place beyond memory and worry, beyond regret and fear. It is the present moment. The Shaolin masters understood that the greatest battles are not won in the past or the future, but in the now. The mind that wanders feeds the demon, but the mind that is fully awake leaves it powerless. A young disciple once confessed to his teacher that he could not silence his inner turmoil. He was haunted by past failures and anxious about what was to come. The master guided him to the courtyard, where the morning mist hung low, and instructed him to focus only on each breath, each step, each movement. At first, his mind resisted, leaping to memories and worries, but with practice, he discovered something extraordinary. In the full attention to this single moment, the inner chaos dissolved. The demon which thrived on absence had nowhere to hide. Relentless presence is not mere mindfulness. It is a discipline forged in awareness. It is waking fully to each sensation, each thought, each interaction, and refusing to drift into distraction. It is being fully here, whether walking, breathing, or sitting in silence. Every moment becomes a sword of clarity, cutting through illusion, breaking patterns that the demon relies upon. Shaolin wisdom teaches that shadows vanish when light is brought to them. Presence is that light. When the chosen one anchors in now, the inner adversary cannot survive. Past regrets lose their grip. Future fears lose their power. The mind becomes clear, steady, and unshakable. Through relentless presence, mastery is realized. Each moment lived with full awareness is a victory. Each breath taken with attention is a strike against the unseen enemy. The demon's power is not defeated with force, but with unwavering conscious being until it simply cannot exist. To face the demon is not to fight an enemy outside, but to journey inward and reclaim mastery over the self. Stillness allows awareness to awaken. Breath becomes the source of strength. Daily discipline sharpens the blade of your will. Emptiness clears the space where shadows once hid. Anger transforms into power. The mind is guarded, and balance restores harmony. Compassion softens what is hardened, and presence turns every moment into victory. These teachings are not merely lessons to hear, they are practices to live. Each day, in small acts of awareness, choice, and intention, the chosen one can weaken the demon's hold and strengthen the spirit within. Begin with one breath, one mindful step, one act of discipline, and watch as mastery slowly unfolds. Remember, your mission is not destruction, but reclamation. The throne of your own being awaits, and every act of self-mastery is a step toward it. Walk with patience, awareness, and courage, and the shadows within will no longer control your path. If these teachings resonate, let them guide you each day and join us on this journey of inner strength and wisdom. Welcome to Shaolin Soulfire. Subscribe, stay with us, and continue walking the path of mastery, one mindful step at a time.